Okay.
Hey everybody, we're here live. Little pre-pushback issues, but the door is closed and the brakes are released, so we're blocked out.
Getting paid.
I
I
can't
wish we were
read
getting
this on my
paid.
phone.
Would you want them in your email?
Yes, I would prefer that. Thank you very much.
If we would have, podcasted 8 days ago, but no, someone had to get a Warren Act letter.
Oh well.
Actually, I got my Warren Act letter 4 days ago, so can't blame it on that.
Yeah, but you were told you were going to get one 8 days ago. All right, where in the hell's my email? So my co-host here lost the show notes, but that's okay because I didn't really update them until about 25 minutes ago. So
They are not in the Google Docs. Oh, now it's there. Updated July 16th. Got it.
and anyway, oh good, you got them. Good. Now you have it in email, and I'll set up a program to send you an email of show notes for the next episode
Thank you.
every 24 minutes before our episode.
That would be great. Thank you.
I don't even know if anyone's gonna watch this.
Yeah, it says there's two.
We, I'm
Oh,
glad you see.
we got feedback? Wow.
Yeah, we got feedback.
Nice.
That YouTube video is pretty interesting too. If you guys didn't have a chance to look at it, I'll talk about it. But it was a cool way to. It's an app that shows how to go ahead and do it through the report a high rep through in the air.
Through ForeFlight.
No, it's a different EFB app.
Okay.
Justin Cook. I never even heard of him. Okay, good. Good. Go to read it.
Where do we see that we have two people? Oh, there it is up there too.
Hello,
Both on Facebook. Hi, Mom and Dad.
How do you see who's watching?
If you go up next to the live, there's two viewers. If you hover over, it says where they're from.
And we just lost one.
And we lost one. This isn't exciting.
I don't see it, but okay. I'm old.
Next to the big red live.
There's a little eyeball there.
Okay. I don't see that. I see end broadcast. It's the only thing that's red.
Oh, this didn't go onto the Twitter.
It's on the left.
It's on the left.
Under
Up
the
above
duck.
Joe's head.
Oh, under Joe's head. Gotcha.
Oh, holy hell.
Hey, we're at 3. We're at 3.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's amazing I'm a dispatcher. Or currently.
A little feedback there. That's my fault. A good host would have put this out like 24 hours in advance and said, "Hey, we're gonna do this." But I'm not a good host. I need a producer like Jeff in the airline pilot guy.
Maybe you could recruit her, give her some cash. So what are we talking about? We're talking about how screwed we all are? Is that basically the theme?
Pretty much.
How screwed you guys are.
Oh yeah, we can get an update for Joe because Joe started this thing and he was already laid off, so
Yeah.
things might be better.
Oh, we got a like. And 7 people. Sweet.
Wow, that's crazy.
It still doesn't tell me who's watching. It just says live viewers.
Hover your mouse over it.
I did.
Over the eye. It says
Yeah.
there's 6.
It says
and
6, but it doesn't say who.
No, it doesn't say who.
Oh, well I thought that was...
It just says if they're on Facebook or YouTube.
Gotcha.
Hey everyone, join us over here in the chat room. Apparently, wow, Facebook is more popular than the YouTube today. All right, let's get this show on the road. Brief mechanical issues, and now we're ready to go.
That's typical
look.
of Acme.
It's typical of Acme North. Surprised you guys have lug nuts on your tires. God, I love this industry.
Boom.
And I'm hitting the record button. Recording. Flying Life Podcast, episode 61, recorded July 16th, 2020. That's an inside joke for everybody. Welcome to the Flying Life Podcast, a podcast just about that flying, aviation, and our lives. I'm Dispatcher Mike, a dispatcher for a major airline based in the United States. Joining me again on this episode is Dispatcher Greg and Dispatcher Joe. Happy Canada Day, 16 days ago. Happy 4th of July, 12 days ago. And so Greg and Joe are both dispatchers for major airlines, one here based in the United States, one based in Canada. The one that talks funny is based in Chicago. The other one that talks funny is based in Canada.
Chicago.
Canada, eh?
Hey, get me a toonie.
Oh, it's kind of been a whirlwind day for me, everybody. I started work right here in this chair about 7 this morning, and I got off about 5:30, and it was nothing but it was a busy day. So
That sounds identical to my day.
Me too.
Yep.
one of you I believe, one of you I don't.
I've turned into a full-time grocery shopper worker.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I'm doing a side gig of going and delivering groceries and getting paid for it.
Instacart?
Instacart, yeah.
Nice.
Actually making pretty good money on it in my downtime.
So, like, do you get to pick which store do you shop at? Like, do you become like a master shopper of like the local Cub Foods?
It's an app. It tells you who's ordering and where they want their groceries from. So I just go and pick their groceries, shop their groceries, and deliver it to their house. And then you hope that they tip you, which most people in this day and age are pretty good at tipping. So I've been making some good money doing that.
That's great. Joe, what have you been up to?
Navy stuff. Yep.
It still amazes me that there's a Navy base in the middle of Canada, but hey.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot of ocean. A lot of coast. A lot of coastlines we got to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Especially the ones on those Great Lakes. Got to make sure the riffraff stay out of the border.
Hey, watch out for the rubber tires, man. We're coming. Speaking of that, and crossing the border into Canada, I once crossed the border into Canada on a canoe and had to go through customs, and I just blew my mind that it was I was going into Quetico Provincial Park from the US's BWAC, the Boundary Waters Canoe Area, and it was just crazy. You go through this one trail carrying all your stuff, and you literally halfway in between the two lakes is a "Welcome to Canada" sign. And you're like, "Well, that's cool." And then literally there's another little sign that says customs and an arrow this way. I go, huh? But it was really cool. I'd love to have that customs job, sitting there on a lake watching a bunch of Boy Scouts enter the country.
Doesn't sound too bad.
No. All right. Well, we're here to talk about aviation and things like that. So in this episode, we're going to cover some news, an FAA SAFO about oceanic airspace and COVID times, which was pretty interesting to read. The PIA 431 prelim report, the end of the 747, and maybe another U.S. airline bailout coming. We have some feedback in this episode. And then the topic of this episode is going to be really basically just us talking about the ups and downs of the industry, what's going on with our respective airlines, and how we are going about 4.5, 5 months into this debacle we call COVID-19. So, without further ado, have you guys been up to anything besides grocery shopping and working for the Canadian Navy?
I've
Oh,
been up.
I
Oh,
got a
go ahead.
cover for my novel.
Oh, really?
Draft is out, yeah. So after the edits on the 20, my edits are due back on the 29th, and then once I get them back, if I don't have to do anything, we could be looking at a late September or an early October book launch.
What is your novel about?
It's a love story about
Ooh.
a guy and a girl who meet at the Lowell Observatory in Flagstaff, Arizona, by the Grand Canyon. Yeah,
How many pages is it?
220 in paperback. So
Wow.
it'd be about a 7 hour audiobook when that's done.
Dispatcher Greg wants to know if there's any pictures.
There's a picture on the cover.
50 shades of something.
Nope.
200 some pages in no pictures. Greg, you're going to have a tough time reading
I
that one.
know. I'm gonna have to have the audio on that one. Got to use my imagination.
Yep.
Oh, I've been really busy at work since the last time we podcast. Acme Airlines put out a retirement package, and the two guys that have worked on our flight planning system for over 20 years have decided to say, we're done. Happy retirement to us. So I get to inherit a flight planning system, and I've really learned a lot in the last 2.5, 3 weeks of how our flight planning system works. And when I'm really tired and can't fall asleep, I read some flight planning system documentation to help me really get there quicker. I'm glad we have a lot of live in person meetings for me to really understand what's going on with it, with flight planning system and how everything works. It's actually been kind of fun, really getting back in the whole flight planning issue of things. Oh yeah, it's work, and it's gonna that and the NOTAMs and all that. Let's just say I have a feeling I am not going to be bored at work anytime soon.
What is this thing called work?
Ah, yes. Well, that's work for me is when you get up at about 6:58 in the morning for your shift to start at 7, and you roll down here in your office. Usually, sometimes you throw on a pair of gym shorts and a t-shirt, and you sit down and you start checking your email.
Oh,
And then the first team meeting's around 9:30, and then there's a bunch of online meetings of talking about stuff until somewhere about 4:30, 5 o'clock, where you shut down your computer and say, I'll check my email in about 10 minutes when I get to the kitchen table.
And then you start doing all the work from the meetings.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
you
I
have
mean,
meetings
thankfully,
about when you're going to have your next meeting.
it's not that bad. A lot of the meetings are actually pretty productive in us making decisions about things. I actually had to go into the office the other day for Acme Airlines is requesting all of the employees that go into the operational floor to get a COVID test. So I went into the office on Monday, which was kind of strange to actually drive to work. Sat in the whole office area. Yeah, it was empty. Our back office where we sit, I was the only one there. Even the performance engineering side of things, just everyone's working from home, so it was just empty. Um, but it was kind of nice to get back out on the floor, talk to people. So around noon, I went down to into our admin building downstairs to where we had all of our testing set up. They took my blood, they stuck a cotton swab up my nose, and had me swirl it around a bunch and stick it back in a container, and we'll find out later if I've got the COVID now. But my antibody test says I'm still a COVID virgin, so.
So how was the nose test? Was it as bad as they say?
No, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't the one that went up into your cranium. It only
Okay.
went into about an inch up into your
Okay.
nose, and then you had to swirl it around 3 times and then hold it there for 15 seconds on each nostril. It wasn't too bad. I mean, it's a cotton swab up your
I've
nose.
had the regular flu swab going up the nose, and that was no fun. So if I had to do that again, probably I don't know if I.
I mean, the huge one where they stick it like that far up your nose. That's a good 5, 6 inches up to really get it up into the swab. Oof, I don't know. That that doesn't sound fun.
No, doesn't sound fun at all. Hello, James and Evan. I see you commenting there. G'day, g'day, mate.
Evan's a good friend of mine down there in Melbourne, Australia. He is training to be an AMT on single engine pistons. He also flies Cirrus type aircraft. Evan has been up. We've met in Oshkosh before as well.
Cool.
Speaking of Oshkosh, we would have
Mm.
been flying in
Speaking
there
of,
right
you guys
about.
got your bags packed?
Yeah.
Shit, I mean, Oshkosh is like 2 days. No,
Yeah.
fudge. Nope.
3 days.
Damn it.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Um, Speaking of, it's not in the show notes, but I do want to talk about it. Thanks for the reminder. The EAA, the Experimental Aircraft Association, is having a virtual Oshkosh this year. It is called, I think they're calling it EAA Together. And looking at everything, it looks actually really cool and really like it's going to be a well done event. Pretty much what Oshkosh is normally anyway. You're still going to have all the Boeing people. You're still going to have all the vendors are going to be linked, all obviously virtual. EAA is calling it the EA Spirit of Aviation Week, and the schedule and highlights were released on the 7th, and they have a hashtag EAA together. But you can find everything at eaatogether.org. Go through and see the list of people and all that. I'm tempted to take some time and watch some of that, and maybe put out some podcast as if I was actually in Oshkosh, but not in Oshkosh. Rather sad, man. The airplane's all primed and ready to go camping up in Wisconsin, and it's not going to happen this year
Nope.
or next year.
And it figures the whole week I had traded this whole week off back early in the year. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm ready. I've got the time. Nope.
It's your fault.
Yeah.
You were prepared for once,
But
and it's your
if you
fault.
had looked at the forecast for next week of what the temperatures are going to be up in Wisconsin, it's going to be about 100 degrees almost every day. So,
It's going to be rainy.
it's going to be hot and it's muggy and probably chances of rain every day.
So a lot like Atlanta.
Yeah, I guess.
So I wouldn't be going up to get cooled off, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
I could jump in the lake. That would be cool.
Yeah, but there's no lake on the airport.
Yeah, I'm sure you can find one somewhere. Spread some water on the ground somewhere.
Lake Winnebago's right there, though. All right, so
Yeah, maybe
Let's,
next year I can fly down to Atlanta and come up with you in your plane. That'd be
that would
fun.
work.
Yeah.
Or I could just fly up there to Canada and then fly down with you.
That seems like going way out of your way.
Yes, it would be, but it would be an adventure.
It would, and hey, you got a spare bedroom here you can crash at. Personally, not your aircraft.
Alrighty, let's get started with the news. So I'm gonna hit this button right here. This first news article is a SAFO, which would be a safety alert for operators, dated July 1st, 2020. This would be SAFO 211. So I think it's, yeah, anyway, that's its number. 20,011 is the SAFO number. Did you guys have a chance to look at this?
Yeah.
Look at it right now.
Awesome. It's great. Do you know this was in the show notes for last time, right?
Do we need to bring up our introductory statements again?
No, I'm just saying that.
This is for if you go if ATC shuts down, right?
Yeah. So this is basically
Yeah, I remember this.
The background is if you are going through oceanic airspace and the Oceanic Center has to close down for a deep clean because of the Rona. So this is what you'd basically have to do in case there is a shutdown of an oceanic center or for the coronavirus deep cleaning. Basically saying flight crews are requested to broadcast information on guard and 12345. There's going to be procedures in here of a flight crew giving traffic information broadcast by aircraft. That would be a TIBA procedure, which is all stations, the call sign, the flight level, if they're climbing, descending to the flight level, their direction, what route they're on, their current position, where they're going to, their time, and their estimating next point. Basically, everything that they need to give normally uh, to. Um, One could say with TCAS and all of that, you could probably get a better altitude quicker because, well, I don't see anyone in front of us. Let's go ahead and climb. I mean, you got to think, obviously, there's not a lot of traffic right now across the North Atlantic, hence why there's only one track in each direction being published. But you got to think of it. You're just sitting there and you're just going out and you're flying. Can you imagine like if Gander Oceanic shuts down and now you got all these planes climbing willy nilly because they don't see anyone on their TCAS in front of them, and all of a sudden they get to Shanwick's border and Shanwick's all freaking out because no one's 50 miles apart or there's no separation anymore, and all these airplanes are just flying. It's got to be. It's got to
Sounds like
suck.
flying in flight sim on VATSIM if there's no controllers, and then suddenly you pop on.
Yeah, there's that, or flying through Africa. We have our us in our airline when we fly to Africa is there's the traffic information broadcast by aircraft procedure that gets followed. Um, I have not been in the flight deck going to and from Africa yet, but they do say it's kind of, let's just say the air traffic services across Western Africa is not the greatest. And
Like this,
so
like this would be like going sub-Sahara or like to the western coast.
I'd be sub-Sahara, like going down to
Yeah,
Lagos and
yeah.
Accra and all those really great places over there. Um, but I hear the area between like somewhere around Lagos and Dakar in the Bakamo region.
Hmm.
I don't think there's really anyone watching.
Hmm.
That's scary. I see the bullet point on this, and from a dispatch perspective, I can see how the workload could jump immediately. Flights may request their flight dispatch office to provide traffic information and or forward position reports to the relevant oceanic OCA. So you can see where that can go if you got a bunch of airplanes out over crossing somewhere, and you're going to have to start forwarding position reports.
Yeah,
That
but
We do
forward them
that
to who if they're
automatically.
closed, right?
Yeah, it's true. There's no one to forward them to if they're closed.
well, that I guess that's true, but I'm sure somewhere that have to be
Well, I guess if Gander
communicated.
closed, you could forward them to Shannon, but they might just say, hey, well, if they're at 40 west, I don't care.
Yeah, and it could be one of those things. I know when our crews send down a position report to us, I think it goes to ATC. But if we have a guy on HF giving a position report, it automatically gets forwarded to us in the dispatch office. So
Yeah.
there is
Yeah.
some. As I had a friend, he was a GA guy, asking why do airliners always give their fuel on board over their position report? ATC doesn't care. And I go, well, that's because it gets sent to us dispatchers, and we care.
Hmm.
Right.
We
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it gives ATC also if like there was ever an emergency, they've got the information as well.
right,
Yeah. And the other thing too, like it could maybe it's not Gander or Shannon that goes down. Maybe it's like New York Air Inc. that goes down, and the ATC guys are still out there, but there's no operators for the radio.
right. And then
Yeah.
now you have to actually talk to the controller directly.
Oh man, they're gonna lose it.
Yeah, I mean that's what CPDLC is for anyway.
Totally.
All right, moving on to the next one. The Pakistani Airlines preliminary investigation report of PIA uh, 423, I think 431. In here, it's PK 8303 is in the. It's what's in the report. Um, this was a fairly in depth preliminary report. I mean, there's a lot of nice pictures in there. It helps someone like me really understand it a little bit better. Um, but kind of as we talked about, I think it was on the last episode or the episode prior, they landed gear up on the engines, and then they went around, and then the engine said, "Yeah, we're
Hmm.
out of here."
Yeah, like the whole thing is just tragic. Do you guys follow Blanco Lirio channel on YouTube?
Every once in a while, I'm not a very religious follower of his.
Yeah, he did a great analysis of this one with like the ADSB data. Like these guys were coming in at like 8,000 feet per minute and 300 knots to try and join the localizer. Like it's insane.
Oh yeah, they were completely unstabilized. Not even
Yeah,
close.
yeah. It's just it's tragic. And then and then immediately afterward they announced that they're going after all these guys in Pakistan with fake licenses, and you're just like, this is crazy.
Yeah, I heard there's a whole database, I suppose, that's out there with all the fake licenses.
They were at
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
7,500 feet on a 10-mile final,
Hmm.
and the runway's somewhere close to like 100 or 200 feet.
Yeah, it's insane. And just yeah, tragically, and then you listen to the ATC recording from like the vast ATC guys, and the plane screaming at them that they're unstable and their gear isn't down. Like they lowered the gear to get drag, they raised the gear for some reason, and then they're doing this approach, and the plane is screaming at them that the gear isn't down, too low gear, and you could hear it when they're talking to ATC. It's just like, how did this happen?
It's listening, reading through some of the report. I guess part of the initial CVR recordings is is the fact that they were talking about other things and they were not paying attention to flying at all. Just complete distraction. But yeah, this is just crazy. Obviously there'll be a link to this in the show notes, but it is pretty impressive how well how well done this preliminary report is. Citing both the European Safety Agency and the NTSB um, for their help and their assistance. But the photos are well done. You can tell there's drone footage. I mean, it's a really well done preliminary report, and it just kind of really goes to show how well it works for is going to be when they get out the final report.
Hmm.
Yeah, I haven't
Yeah,
had a chance to read this yet, but I'm going to go through it. It's interesting.
like part of me wonders, and I don't want to start like an Airbus versus Boeing war, but like with the Airbus flight controls, you can't have the plane start descending automatically like you can on a Boeing. So part of me wonders if they got the clearance dialed it in and just forgot to hit the button. And would that have happened if it was a 737? Because they just dial lower and it'll start descending at top of descent, right?
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see in the final report if they look at that. Like not the would this have happened on 737, but if like them not paying attention and missing hitting the button was the first hole in the cheese.
That's not the first time an Airbus pilot got distracted.
Yeah, I think there was something out by Minneapolis, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Minneapolis, Green Bay, turnaround. you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's just one of these things. That's again another case of being distracted and not paying attention where you are. There's a time of a merger. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's funny too with the difference between the 737 versus the A320 is the location of the gearbox. If this was a 737 with all the gearbox and stuff moved up to the sides, if they had scraped the runway on a 737, would the engine have failed in the same way? Just a
Yeah,
thought. Yeah.
that's another good thought because seems the accessory in the gearbox on the 320 is below, and on the 73 because its landing gear is so short and stubby, they had to move it up to the
Yeah.
side.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's the same engine, but it's a different location for that gearbox, and that gearbox does a lot of the like lubrication and stuff. So if that engine, the wow, words, Joe. If the turbine seized because of lack of oil, you know, maybe that's what caused the failure. Anyway,
Yeah, possibly. Time will tell until we get a final report. But again, very tragic, very sad, tragic, and 100% preventable.
Yep.
All right, the next article: Boeing quietly pulls the plug on the 747 closing area
No.
of jumbo jets. Now, see, this is from July 2nd. I was not shocked by this article. We all knew it was coming. The writing's been on the wall for Boeing for a
10
really,
years.
yeah.
At
I mean,
least 10 years, if not more.
yeah. I mean, it's getting to the point where the airplane isn't as efficient anymore as a passenger airliner. This is not 747s are going away forever. This is passenger 747s and 747s are going to stop being produced. But it's not like the A380 where those things are pretty much almost done. I mean, the whale will live on in other lives for, I would say, even almost another 50 years.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, like, and when's the last time they built a passenger 747 anyway? That's got to be at least 5 years old.
Yeah, I mean, I
Like
think
Lufthansa, I think was the last ones, right?
yeah, Lufthansa with their 747 dash eights.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So I mean, yeah.
in the U.S., I think United was one of the first airlines to retire the 47. Then, if I'm correct, Delta retired them, right? And then American, I'm not sure. Do they have any 747?
American never had the.
No.
I
They
don't
never
think
had
American
any.
ever had the 400. I think they had a couple of 100s and 200s early on, but never got back to them.
That's one thing wish I could have done is gone and jump seat on the 47.
Oh, I
Never.
came so close out of Holland on KLM one time.
Uh,
Greatest jump seat ever.
yeah.
All three of them. There's three jump seats on the 400, at least the way that they were equipped at Acme. You have the two pilot seats, and usually it's a crew of four. So there are four jump seats literally right behind the crew for usually for the other two pilots, right? Well, then there's a fifth jump seat back in the corner around the door. That's basically a lazy boy recliner. It doesn't have a window, and you can't see really a lot out of the front, but it's a very comfortable seat for you to lay back and relax.
Nice.
Yeah, if you're tall enough, the 6.7's pretty good too. If you rotate it all the way sideways and put your feet up on the other jump. Like I'm 6'4", and I was able to make that into a nice bed.
Yeah, the I like the 330. It's very roomy. Um,
The
I heard the
worst is the
DC-10.
737.
I heard the DC-10 was very nice. Yeah, I agree with the 7.3. You kind of shoved in between the two closets and right back by the
Yeah,
door.
yeah, but you're like so I've ridden jump on the Dash 8 Q400 as well, and that was more comfortable than the 737 because the back is the door, and the 737 they've got you jammed forward so much it's
Yeah,
crazy.
I'm a short person, and the 37 for me is uncomfortable. I can only imagine someone who's tall.
Yeah, well, it's lucky for me I can get my knees over the pedestal, especially if I rip off the seat on the other side.
What uh, what other aircraft do you like? I like the bus. The Airbus is nice and roomy, especially if you have the center. If you have the center jump seat, if you have the one behind the captain, not so much. You don't really have much leg room, especially when he brings the seat all the way back. Like, gee, thanks, guy.
Yeah,
My
yeah, I like
favorite airplane is also one of my least favorite jump seats, and that's the 7.5. Because the way our 7.5s are configured, there's one jump seat. It's behind the captain. It's almost like you're sitting on a bar stool, and it's
yeah.
easier to sit on that jump seat like you're sitting on a bar stool. And you're
I
just sitting there like this, looking out the
I
window.
rode that on a Transcon one a couple years ago, 4.5 hour flight, and yeah, it was not very comfortable.
Yeah, I've
'Cause
I've never ridden the 7.5 even in the back.
Oh, great airplane, man! That the airplane's like a.
those are going bye bye too.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
yeah, and the 6.7, like there's no more 6.7s in Canada from what I can tell. Both of the
yes,
airlines that had them passenger service, have I think they're both gone from both airlines.
yet, but the 767 is still being produced,
Oh yeah, for sure.
brand new, right off the line. They just
Yeah, like United wanted them to make them passenger versions again.
Yeah, I think they should. But anyway. All right. Last news article came out about 3 hours ago from the Wall Street Journal. And this article is airline job cuts heat up aid discussions. Um, Airlines are tallying up tens of thousand job cuts as they say could happen this fall. Congress gears up to update or debate offering more aid to travel industry crushed by the coronavirus pandemic. We all know the airlines already got $25 billion from the 2.2 trillion stimulus package passed back in March, and that's set to expire in September. And September 30th was the last day that offered job protections for the U.S. airline industry. Hence, is why you saw articles last week and this week of United Airlines laying off about 36,000 people and American Airlines saying, oh, we got about 25,000 people too heavy. Delta Airlines said they're going to try to avoid furloughs, but, things are going to happen. But they've had a lot of voluntary leaves of absences in a very lucrative buyout package for them. And then, yeah, so that's where we stand now.
My personal opinion on some of these numbers that are coming out, I truly think they're overinflated, and a lot of it I think is a big political play by the airlines. They know it's an election year. They know that come October 1st, the government is not going to want to have all these employees laid off from all these airlines. So, do I think there's going to be a lot of layoffs? Absolutely. But I think the numbers that some of the airlines are putting out are way exaggerated and just to gain some sort of political posture. I don't know. My thoughts.
I hope you're right, but
I can't see an airline laying off half their workforce. I mean, that's huge. Even if, the flying is down 30%, 40%, you lay off 50% of your workforce. And then when the industry turns around, hopefully in 6 months or a year, now you got to recall all these people, retrain them. That's a huge expense on the airline.
yeah,
So,
yeah, but now they're making money again, and they can take on that expense opposed to keeping people on there. Suck up and write off the furlough pay that you have in their contracts to pay them if you're under a contract and have furlough pay, or if you're a non-contract union, there, hey, here's your pink slip. There's the door. See you later.
yeah, I mean, it's just these numbers are huge. And I just hope it doesn't materialize. And
I mean, you look at Acme. We had 17,400 and change take the early out package. That was 20% of the company. There's 40,000 employees that took a voluntary leave of absence for at least a month,
yeah,
and that program is still there. If I wanted to take October off, I just got to check the leave of absence button, and it'll be up to Acme if I'm valuable enough or not to just okay take the month off. Don't work. See you later.
yeah. And the other thing, where was I going with this? With the furloughs, I lost my train of thought. But I basically, um, I'll come back to it. I had it on the tip of my tongue,
I
but
hate it when that happens.
yeah, I was gonna say it, and I'm like, what am I talking about? But yeah, it's gonna be a costly endeavor for the no matter what they do, and you know, I don't know.
Yep.
Here, this is where I was going with this. The even if there is an extension of the CARES Act, which there's a big lobby effect out right now from a lot of the unions to pressure the government to have an extension on this thing. You know, what percentage of the airlines would be even interested in taking a an extension of the CARES Act? Because what is it in their what is it for them to take this extension? I mean, right now, the last one we had, the government got a stake in the airlines. They also converted some of that as loans, which the airlines don't want to take on more of a loan. They don't want the government taking more ownership of the airline. So So it's kind of like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You want this CARES Act extended, but
I think as an airline, you would want to take it right now because it gets to the point where you've exhausted all of your loan and credit funding that you can as an airline now, and now you're looking at the part where, all right, we got this much cash in hand, but how much does it really equate to later? Like how much, you know,
yeah,
we got 15 billion cash on hand now. We're blowing $40 million a day. How much cash is it going to take? Can I get out to Wall Street? Can I find another way to get more hands on cash to help us get through this? Or am I going to need to take the government loan? And yeah, it's going to suck. They're going to get some stock and some equity in my company that they're going to be able to leverage as a profit when we come back out of this. But I don't know. That's why I'm glad I'm not a chief financial officer.
yeah. They don't want to take on more debt. That's basically
But they also want to survive as a
yes,
company.
yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know. Guess we'll find out October 1st what happens.
yeah. Some companies have sent out because of the, as we were talking a little bit beforehand of the YouTube video, the Warren Act, and this was an act that said if you're going to hire furlough more than a certain percentage of your workforce, you have to give them, was it a 2 month warning?
60 days.
60 days, yeah, so 2 months. So 2 months from the day the letter was signed, that you're going to get another piece of paper in the mail.
I think this segues with our topic.
It does segue to it with our topic, which is why I put this
Yeah,
news article at the bottom. So
yeah.
with that, I'll go ahead and press this button here, and we'll move on to the topic. Wow, that's loud. Holy fork short, Batman.
Not only am I going to be unemployed, but I'm be deaf too.
Man, now you're gonna be hard of hearing, and holy cow. Sorry for everyone if you were listening on headphones like we were. It's 1-800-MIRACLE. This podcast is brought to you by Miracle Ear. Oh,
For all your hearing aid solutions.
yes. All right, so it's been a while. Yes, thank you, Joe. We'll put that in at the end. Ping me again. Um, it's been a while. Let's go around the horn and just kind of give an update. Really, we've talked about this earlier, and obviously, it's kind of a theme in our lives. So, therefore, the podcast, just really the ups and downs of the aviation industry. We said it February, we were flying high, making billions of dollars, and everything was great. And then March comes around, and no, we're broke, and no one's flying anymore, and we're not allowed to fly to places anymore. And it's not like anyone wants to go there anyway. Um, we can talk about seat caps and things like that. So, who wants to start?
Go by seniority. Mike.
Wow, really? Okay.
The senior people keep their job.
Oh,
Some venom going here.
wow. So, yes, I've been in on the dispatch seniority list for almost 14 years. 2000 and got hired in 06 as a dispatcher, November of 06. So yeah, it's going to be 15 years next year. So 14 years with the company in flight control, which allows me to have a decent amount of seniority. I think I said earlier, I think we were recording at that point, we had about 20% of our dispatchers took an early out package. So that's really saving up the space for people on the bottom to keep their job. Moved me up the seniority list I think about 85 people. There were some people that were junior to me that took the package and all of that. So that was good. But yeah, I am, if I get furloughed, we're screwed as an airline. because that means we'll only have about 140 dispatchers left total, and that's not a lot. Um, when you went from 466 pre-COVID, we're down to three about 360 now on our seniority list, and if they need to whack another 150, we're ugh. But anyway, things are starting to look like around. I mean, we have airplanes coming out of the desert opposed to going to the desert. Um, we're bringing. I think we've brought back at Acme almost 150 aircraft so far. I think we have a decent amount still that will be coming out for the August schedule. Um, we were going to add more flights in August, but I get listening to our CEO on the news and that. I guess we're backing off that a little bit. He said that the resurgence of the cases in the virus in the South is keeping things from really coming back. That our growth has stalled. So, um, like I said, I've inherited a flight planning system, and in the business owner of the flight planning system. So, which means if something breaks, they ask me first, and I have to try to figure out how to fix it. Um, and then if that doesn't work, I reach out to our IT guys, which I will definitely be leaning on heavily because they have many years of experience to run that. But otherwise, the roof is still going to stay over my head, and the mortgage is still going to get paid, and so is the car payments and all of that. We, you know, it's just a good time for us to realize how to live on a budget again. So, and honestly, pay wise, currently there's a vote out for with the union and the company for another 25% pay cut to be extended, and that should offer some furlough protection till the end of the year, but I'm not sure how that's going to end up. The first 25% cut that we voted for, we all knew it was going to pass, and that was like a pass 70-30. I don't see this one being a landslide victory again, so I think it's going to be a lot closer. And I have 3 days to vote still, so I have to figure out which way I'm going to vote.
So that's extending the 25%, or making it a 50% total.
No, it's extending the 25%. Currently, right now, that 25% expired on June 1st, and my last paycheck was a full paycheck, and it was like, oh, that's how much I make. I like that number. But yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, is it's tough. It's a tough decision. I have a list of 97 people. One of our very smart dispatchers put together a shirt. He kind of did it odds, but he's got pretty much a list of people that are retiring, and there's 3,600 years of aviation experience that's leaving the company. Just out of the dispatchers. I mean, 3.5 millennia of experience of just walking out the door, and it's a big brain drain. So that's me.
That's a lot of experience.
Yeah. What's up with you?
So
You were dispatching all by yourself the other day.
I was the only dispatcher at my location, so we're still running a split operation at Acme. Part of it is still downtown, and part of it is still in our remote facility out in the suburbs. So yeah, I was the only one there for a couple hours while the other people were downtown. That was kind of fun. Like, oh gosh, I hope nothing happens because I have no one here to help me. So kind of similar by me, what's going on with you. So, an interesting site. I don't know if Mike, you might have seen this, but for people listening, the TSA counts by the day.
I know of the TSA counts by the day, but I don't go there religiously it's like the people who check their 401ks every day.
Yeah, but you know what? It's an interesting trend. I mean, I don't look at it every day, but I look at it for trend analysis. So if you look at March 1st, okay, we had close to 2.3 million people traveling. That's when times were good. right? And
2 days
then,
later.
well, no, it was actually pretty good. The roof fell off about the low point was on March 31st, where there were 136,000 nationwide travelers that went through TSA pre-check.
What day did the trend start going down?
It would have started probably about. It fell under the 2 million mark on March 10th, and then by March 17th, we were under 1 million.
Okay. So that
So,
first, second week of March is when the fan got dirty.
yep. And then it held under 100,000 up until about April 23rd. And then it kind of steadily has increased. We broke the 200,000 in May 10th, and it's been climbing since. Although there is a reverse trend on the numbers now. So we had on July 12th the high of 754,000 people, which when you look at that compared to 2019 was 2.7 million. So put that in perspective. Okay, this is, so 754. Now, as of yesterday, we're back down to 589,000. So obviously it depends on day of week. That all kind of goes hand in hand.
It'd
But
be interesting to take that trend chart and you take the coronavirus case chart and match the two charts up to see how perfectly inverse they are of each other.
yeah, that would be an interesting study. So, the trend has been pretty decent. People are starting to fly, but I'm not sure if this recent dip is going to be more of a new trend or if this is just, day a week type of thing. So, and of course, as we go into August, kids, well, we don't know about the school situation, but normally it drops off mid-August. You start going into the fall schedule. Um, So at Acme North, we're kind of the same as by you guys over at Acme. Reduced schedules significantly. We're only running maybe a quarter of our operation that we normally run. I don't even know if it's a quarter. I think that might be overly optimistic. Um, we're overstaffed. We have a total of approximately 420 dispatchers. Unfortunately, I'm in the bottom 30% of that number. And war notices were sent out to the bottom 46% of our dispatchers on the seniority list. So there's about 193, I think, was the number of dispatchers that were noticed or notified that come October 1st, we're subject to furlough. So, they've been putting out early out information and trying to get people to retire that can. It's been hit or miss. It hasn't been as lucrative as, some of the other airlines, but uh, they're trying. I mean, they're doing what they can. The pilots did get a better deal. So we're hoping that our union can get somewhat of a better deal or match somewhat of what the pilots got. But that's, they're still negotiating with the company. The only good thing out of all this, I still have not lost. We've still been at full pay since this whole thing is going on. And I'm only working, I've worked 2 days this month. Last month, I think I worked a total of 5 days. And going into August, looking at my schedule, if I work 10 days out of the month, and still getting full pay, that's good and it's bad. You look at it like, hey, great, it's great, I'm still getting paid, but what's going to happen come October 1st?
Yeah, start saving that money up right now, brother.
Yeah, and I mean, from what I've talked to with a lot of the senior dispatchers, pay cuts are not something that is being entertained by some of the senior people. They don't want that. So it's really going to come down to how many people are going to take a voluntary leave of absence or some sort of, retirement deal. But,
Yeah,
the,
in the past at Acme, the any other the down times, uh, the dispatchers have usually been able to finagle a way to keep everyone on property, be it all right, we know it's going to cost $500,000, $600,000 to keep these people on. So as a group, we will pay for the people, take our hours out until you get to the $500,000 level, and let's just keep everyone on the property until we get through this and we go. Um, I think we've kind of tried that this time, and let's just say the company has not been very receptive to those. So it's kind of there's only two unions at Acme, and I think the company sees this as a golden opportunity to prove to other work groups that are close to organizing that being in a union isn't all it's cut out to be,
Mm.
which is sad.
Yeah, I mean, it has its pros and cons, but in these type of situations, being in a union is pretty good because if had I not been in a union, I already would have been taking a significant pay cut and or getting been off, cut half the office already.
Yeah, I was talking some women in my work group on my team that work in IT that had to get a list of their people, and their list was not seniority based; it was performance based, and
Yeah.
who likes who the best, and who's the best worker, and there'll be cuts in their department, and it's not going to be because Joe got hired last, so Joe's out first.
Yeah.
Sorry, Joe, just picked a random name there.
All good.
So,
The
Joe,
only thing I could say is, I've got 22 years with the company and only 5 of it in dispatch seniority. So I wish they went by company seniority because I'd be pretty high on the seniority list if we went that way. But what are you gonna do?
there's a lot of junior people at Acme that have your same mentality.
Yeah.
I'm all for class and craft
Mm-hmm.
because my office date and my employment date are the same day.
Yeah.
Joe, any changes up there?
Well, it's like you guys are where we were back in March. So in Canada, things are getting better slowly. Actually, the United States is what's causing it to be as slow as it is. Unfortunately, I mean, I don't
Damn
mean to get
Americans.
political. Don't mean to get political, but until you guys get your virus under control, you're slowing down our recall rate. So get your stuff together. Yeah. So there has been at Acme Canada. There has been a small recall, like less than 5 people. But it's happened. So we're moving in the right direction. Flights are getting added to the schedule. It's all moving in the right direction. We're starting flying off back to Europe again shortly. So it's all moving in the right direction. But it's the
Wait,
U.S. flying that's
wait,
holding us back.
wait. Canadians are allowed to go to Europe?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
can I get a passport?
Depends on how fast you can get married to a Canadian.
I'm already married to a Puerto Rican. Does that count?
No, Puerto Rico is definitely part of the U.S.
I hear we're trying to sell it.
Yeah, so in Canada things are going in the right direction. They're going much slower than I think everybody was hoping, which is unfortunate. But what can you do? So so yeah, like for us flying off to Europe, that's starting back up. Um, there's a few flights down to the U.S. and then there's a few flights down to Mexico and the Caribbean, limited destinations, once a week kind of deal. But they're starting to come back. You know, so I think we are, like I said, we're probably 3 or 4 months ahead of you guys right now, and it'll all depend for both of us on how fast you guys can get that virus under control.
I'm
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Herd immunity's coming soon.
Well, you'd be surprised.
No,
Like
I
I
know.
keep right on top of this because I'm immune compromised. So like for me, this is a pretty actually very dangerous virus if I were to get it. So I'm pretty on top of what's going on with it.
Yeah, I as I adjust my mic as I set up, that it's going to be fun to edit out. As I joke and I jest a little bit about this, but yeah, no, I mean, there's reasons why my family still doesn't go out a lot. We went out to a restaurant for dinner tonight, but we were one of like I don't know. I think there was 4 other parties in this restaurant, and it was a big place. So we got in, we got our food, we got in the car, we came home.
Yep.
You know, we have one family that we hang out with. All of our social engagements is with that family. All of their social engagements is with us. The kids play together. The adults like each other. We all hang out, and that's it. Some of us Americans can do things the right way.
Yeah, like schools for us are gonna come back in September. At least that's what they're saying. But it'll all depend on a second wave, and it seems pretty likely that it'll happen again in October. So, we could be ramping back up just to go back down.
Yeah,
Guess we'll find out.
And that's exactly where we're at. We were starting to ramp up, and now we're starting to pull back.
Yeah, well, the other thing too with us is like our government hasn't given the airline industry money. The only thing that they're giving is a wage subsidy. So if you're laid off, you can still get 75% of your pay just directly through from the federal government. So they'll pay the airline, and then the airline just takes that money and gives it to you.
For how
And
long?
but we have that now till December. So even if you're laid off, you're getting 75% of your pay. So
I,
that's not bad.
that's not a bad way to do it because now an airline can right size and keep their cash where it needs to be to stay afloat. And then now your employees are still getting taken care of
Yeah.
thanks to the government.
And I was
And
going to say, you. Okay.
the beautiful thing of it is, so we're laid off, but we're not actually laid off legally anymore. So with that money, because it's being paid to us by the airline, it's basically means we still are employees. We're just on leaves of absence. So all of the benefits that come, like we can still check our company email. They have a auto reply saying we're on a leave of absence, but like you're still part of the company, which is really nice. So it keeps your people engaged, it keeps them active, and that's a good thing. And I'd much rather that my tax money go back to me than that they go to all the companies, because the companies have no incentive to keep the employees on if there's no work for them, even if they're getting that money, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah, so that's one of the really nice things I think that we've done right.
And you don't have to worry about medical or dental because that's covered under the.
Taxes.
We don't have to
Yeah.
worry about going to the doctor. But if you are like me and you have a lot of prescription medication, you still have to pay for that. So our group insurance did run out at the beginning of July. We got a 3 months on it, so that cost has come back. But that's the same cost that any Canadian would pay. And again, we can get cheaper drugs because we buy medicine from medicine pharmaceutical companies as a country, so we get good deals and good rates on medicine. And the other thing that I've heard, I don't know if it's actually been communicated officially, but I've heard through the grapevine, Transport Canada is giving us exemptions on our licenses, so we're still technically all current, even though we haven't dispatched in over 90 days.
Nice.
Which means, because of course the hard thing for the airlines is if they lay off all of their checkers, then when they bring them back, they have to get qualified as dispatchers and then go and do the check course and get qualified as checkers before they can check anybody.
And ain't no
So-
one gonna check the checker.
Well, and that's the thing, then you got to get, in order to check the checker in Canada, transport usually has to be involved. So,
Ugh.
so you have to bring the inspector in, do a whole bunch of checks. So it seems like they're being reasonable about it and they're waiving some of the stuff. So maybe we have to go in and do a day of training, but then we don't have to do a comp check. We can just go out and start dispatching. At least that's what I've heard it is for now. I no guarantee that's going to stay the way it is.
I hope it does because that's pretty dang smart. One of the
Yeah.
things that we're trying to negotiate and prove to the company is, hey, you lay these people off for 6-8 months, you're going to have to pay them all their furlough pay, and then you're going to have to go ahead and pay to retrain them. By the way, that's overtime.
Yeah. So yeah, the training thing is I think it's smart that transport's doing it that way because of course remember from our episode a couple times ago, if we don't dispatch for a certain amount of time, our licenses expire completely and we have to go and redo all the exams. So if this drags on, some of our very junior people might brush up against that time. So right now the clock isn't running
That's a good
for
thing.
us. Yeah, so we're still qualified. So I've been told. We'll see. We'll see how that all shakes out, especially if things drag on into December. Because there's a point where it becomes okay. what's the flight safety risk after a while, right? Where you have all these people who have not dispatched sent a flight plan since April 2nd, and now it's Christmas rush, and are they really still good to go without a check and some training? I don't know, but cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah, I can say for me, like if you put me in a chair right now, I wouldn't dispatch me. But that's I haven't done it for 5 or 6 years. If I wanted to go back to the floor and go back to the release factory, I would have to go through an entire. I'd have to go through initial. They would. I would need a full course. So
Yeah, and of course that gets expensive, right? And then you got to get all the
Yeah.
people who are doing the training and checking trained, and
It's
it
300
becomes a
hours.
nightmare, right? Yeah,
300 hours of training
yeah,
in initial.
yeah.
yeah, I don't think it would be a complete initial. It'd be a modified initial because obviously I know the systems and all that already. I mean, it'd be kind
You
of
own the
funny if
system.
I did. Kind of funny if I go back to the floor and I have to go through and they have to teach me the flight planning system. That's going to be hilarious.
Okay, Mike, how does a jet engine work?
Suck, squeeze, bang, blow.
There you go.
All right, so we had some feedback off of our last episode. I know I actually grazed over it in the show notes because I was on autopilot and it's news topic. I blew past feedback. So I shall attempt to read this now. Oh, great job on episode 60. I couldn't agree more on how important PIREPs are. A few years ago, I went to aviation weather seminar, and one of the speakers was a center weather forecaster, meteorologist. One of the things he spoke about was how valuable PIREPs are in the center weather forecasting world, as it is one of the fastest and easiest ways to verify a forecast. As you guys mentioned as well, clear and smooth PIREPs are just as important as turbulence, cloud, and other weather issues. As far as reporting PIREPs from an EFB goes, I have asked ForeFlight about it in the past, and they just indicated they have no intention of adding that functionality due to the lack of a data service to transmit it in a timely manner. Understandable, but there's another awesome EFB that does include this functionality. It's AeroV, now Stratus Insight, after a buyout by Apario, which makes the Stratus ADS-B and GPS receivers. I have one of those in the airplane. Great company. Good thing. It was nearly built specifically for this reason and is a strong, low-cost contender to both ForeFlight and Garmin Pilot. It uses a very user-intuitive interface to get all the necessary information and uses GPS location that it already has for other EFB purposes to publish your PIREP. If you do not currently have a data signal, for instance, a Wi-Fi only iPad, it will save it and send the next time it has service. To get around this, I will do the PIREP on part of my phone, which still has service, and that time much quicker than Wi-Fi. It also sends a notification once the PIREP is received into the system. This is my EFB of choice for both price and reason, as well as the PIREP reason. The video below, which I'll have the link in the show notes, is done by the creators on the PIREP submission process. I watched that video. It is pretty intuitive. I mean, even Greg could send a PIREP that way. It was really just, here's my, you already knew your aircraft type, knew your call sign, and all you had to do, and knew where you were. All you had to do was push really big buttons for turbulence and sky condition and visibility. And there's a section for remarks to put anything else you wanted in there. And then you just hit send. And if you had a data signal, it just sent right away. It was
That's
pretty
the way,
amazing.
That's the way to do it. We need to get the PIREPs out there, and that's a brilliant way.
Yeah, on the big buttons, I'm sure if you're shaking around in turbulence, it helps you hit the right button.
Yeah.
Seems pretty smart. Yeah.
He also continues and says, I'm also an EA chapter president. I would also like to plug the EA chapter network as a great way for pilots and aviation enthusiasts to get plugged into aviation at their local level. I'm obviously biased, but I believe there's no better way to see the grassroots aviation than an EAA chapter. And this is from Justin Cook, JBG Cook on the Twitters, which I believe I've talked to him on the Twitters before. So thanks, Justin, for that feedback. And that is a pretty cool thing. And shoot, if my ForeFlight subscription comes up and I'm still making less money, I will definitely be keeping this EFB in mind for future preferences.
That is pretty neat, and I think
Yeah.
more pilots need to have that. And the more data that's out there for everybody, the better, the safer, the better the communication.
Be nice if we could have that on the EFBs and
Yeah.
our planes too.
Yeah, but they have ACARS boxes. They can just really send one right there. I mean, come on,
Yeah,
guys.
come on.
Pilots, come on. Tappy,
Yeah,
tappy, tappy.
if it's as
Smooth.
simple as saying here bumpy, send to the weather service.
So
Great.
there is a program that they were testing out at um, Acme North, and I don't know where it is nowadays, but it was actually a sensor that was built into the iPad that it, depending upon how much the iPad shakes, would be able to determine a value, like an EDR value, and transmit that to this program that would generate a PIREP. So, and it would be able to distinguish between just like, oh, I moved it by accident versus, oh, this is actually turbulence. So the pilots didn't have to do anything. It was just built into their iPad.
That would work.
But yeah, I don't know where it went, if that's still being used, but
Yeah, because I will say that most of the PIREPs that I get are turbulence PIREPs. It's very rare to get a upper winds PIREP unless it's part of a oceanic position report or to get a sky condition. Sometimes if it's low visibility, they'll say we got the lights at minimums or we got the lights 100 above minimums, that sort of thing. But it's very rare to get anything kind of other than a turbulence PIREP. I think I've maybe seen a couple of icing PIREPs, but that's about it.
yeah, we get quite a few icing.
I seen yes, but have you ever had a flight record their cloud tops to you?
No.
No.
Hey,
I
I'm
have.
climbing.
Actually, yes, because they'd
Yes.
say we're just above the tops at 28 and we're getting mountain wave or whatever.
Yeah, or I'm
Yeah.
above the weather,
Yeah.
above the CBs,
hmm
or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, good feedback. Thank you.
Keep it coming.
Yeah, we need more.
Yeah. Any other questions and all that? That'd be great.
We need show topics. So if you have a good show topic, send us some feedback, because we're always struggling to find something to talk about.
Because we're too lazy to open up the FOM and just be like, let's talk
Particularly,
about this.
particularly Dispatch Mikey shoots down everything we suggest. So
That is not.
no, I'm kidding. I
The
really
Pyreps episode was brought to you by Greg. We had a great idea for this episode, but I figured in the times of relevancy and the fact that we're all facing union battles and layoffs and pay cuts and all that, it'd be nice to talk about the crappy side of aviation.
This is very timely, and it was a good topic. But yeah, I mean, just keep sending it in. And you want to hear about a topic? Let us know.
Yeah. We do have a question from James asking, I think, Greg about what's going to replace the 5.7 for Oceanic for Acme Globe, which I think might be Acme North.
That's a good question. I mean, there's talks, where the 7.6s are still out there. We're flying a lot of 777, some 87.
Maxes.
Yeah, no Maxes.
You getting the Neos?
I don't believe the Neos. I don't think we're getting those.
Okay.
We were, if I remember correctly. Now this is maybe a year ago. There were talks of getting the 330, maybe. Maybe not. I don't know.
Wow.
I if I memory serves correct, that there were some orders for that, but
Ain't no more.
well, yeah. Now with everything, they've canceled a lot of contracts with Boeing and Airbus on some of the aircraft orders, obviously. So
Because those bigger planes aren't going to match that 5.7 capacity, right? And those smaller stations.
yeah, probably not. So we'll have to see. I mean, right now they're still flying the 57s. But if who knows? If this thing keeps dragging on, it's gonna get. We're gonna have to make decisions that are gonna
Painful.
be whatever's. Yeah, I mean, whatever's gonna be efficient.
Yeah. Yeah. How about at Acme? You guys fly the 5.7 across the pond?
We used to.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw one of yours going to Senegal or something
Yeah,
out of
it did.
JFK.
It did. It stayed there for a couple of months too.
I thought that was the one in the Azores.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I mean we used to float. I mean we've had 757s going across the pond. I think they started about 2 years into my career up at Acme Compass. We had someone had the crazy idea to send some Frankfurt and Dusseldorfs to Detroit on the 757. We're like, eh? You can do that? And who's going to pay to sit on a 757 for 7 hours? Apparently, people did. Um, I love the 75. I love the 75 so much. It is such an amazing airplane, and the way it was designed is absolutely amazing. You can take a fully loaded 757 out of Eagle in high altitude, low, short runway, and fly forever on them and really get there. I mean, I was on a 757 this is back in the day in late 90s. Um, no, early 2000s, about '02, '03. AirTran Airways, ATA, Midway to Seattle. They were doing Midway to LA, and Midway is only 6,800 foot. You're going halfway across the country on a 757 without any problem, and you're cruising at 37,000 feet. So yeah, we've got that, but it also the longest 757 I've ever done was an 8.5 hour, 9 hour flight from Atlanta down to Brasilia, and guess what? It had no problems doing it. Um, we were doing Paris to Raleigh Durham on a 757, and that was its legs. If you had to go and do you had to put an alternate on there, you were going to leave some people behind, but that was still a good 8.5, 9 hour flight that's coming against the wind the whole way. I mean, just Boeing bet wrong, and I will say this time and time again, they should have bet on the 757 and not the 737. But that's hindsight being 2020.
Yeah, yeah, the pencil plane.
Yeah,
And I stand corrected on what I said. It's the 321s that
Yeah,
were
yeah, yeah.
the Neos.
the Neo.
Yeah, because that's the 757 killer of the
Yeah.
modern airplanes. Seems like
Yeah. So
the Neo LR. Well, when they all get too old and you can't fly them, that'll be the next plane.
Yeah, but it's not the same.
How much fish can they haul?
Yeah,
Anyone's on airliners done that?
it's not the same. Good for the 321. It is what it is, but it is not a 75. Boeing was stupid. I'm writing up our disclaimer as we speak.
Good spelling.
70. Bite me. Alrighty. Is there anything else we want to talk about? I think that is a no.
I have nothing in the box right now.
Talk about how much I want to go to bed.
But it's early there.
It's been a long day.
Alrighty, so on that note, you can find show notes for this episode at flyinglife.com/2020/61. You can find me and Flying in Life on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of the above. I got on a time-lapse kick yesterday while I was working. I had some towering cumulus clouds out the window, so I set up the camera. So take a look on those sites for those, and I'll post them up on there. Pretty cool looking stuff. I thought one was developing and was actually collapsing, so we'll put those up on the social medias. Greg is Dispatch Dude something on Twitter. He's
DX
also
dude.
whatever. He's also WX Fan 1978, but he doesn't really check Twitter. So Greg is more of a Facebook guy, and Joe's writing a book.
Yeah, though you can follow my my publishing company at facebook.com/sixcatspress. I now have a Facebook page for it.
Are you self-publishing?
Yep.
Nice. Meow.
Meow.
Yes, and the banner on that page is drawn after my 6 cats by my lovely wife, who's a graphic
Wonderful.
designer. So if you want to hire a graphic designer, shoot us a message.
What is it? Six what? Fresh?
Six Cats Press.
Six Cats Press. Okay.
Yeah, if you do, you'll see a lovely picture of this girl here sitting in a chair reading a book.
Nice.
Wow.
All right, we'll take a look at for that. You can send us email, feedback, and all that. Contact at flyinglife.com. Open and closing music is bensound.com, bumper music, purpleplanet.com. We're on Stitcher Radio and pretty much anywhere else you can find podcasts after that. And then finally, here's the new part of the show that the other guys were wanting. The Flying Life podcast is produced to promote aviation and the dispatch career. The hosts of the show do not represent their employers, and this show is used for awareness and entertainment only. All facts on this show can be found in the public domain, and there's no inside information being broadcast on this podcast. Please don't try to sue us or get us fired. We're just trying to promote a fun job in the aviation industry.
Good.
Nice. Yeah.
There you go. Don't fire us because we like talking about airplanes. Alrighty. On that note, I'm gonna drink another beer and come over and hit this button. And by beer, I mean non-alcoholic Becks. Yeah. All right. So gonna hit this button here. And we'll talk to everybody next time. Hopefully by the end of the month, but probably not. Oh, that didn't fade out at all. That sucked. Guess we're going to have to edit that in post next.
We can get one in by the end of the month. What are you talking about?
Hey, man, I'm just saying.
We already got the idea all set up.
We do?
Yeah.
Well, if we want to talk about what we discussed earlier. But...
Oh, what we were supposed to talk about?
I mean, I don't care.
Oh, this was fun.
I guess we'll see what happens with the airlines in the next week or two. A lot could change.
Yeah, for all we know, we'll be having this chat again.
Yeah. We also might have like a "will work for food" signs. Like just help my kids, feed my family.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Hope not.
All right. Well, goodbye, YouTube. Bye, Facebook.